uh, fellowship together. So I do like to start off that way and just give thanks. And so if you guys can join me real quick. Unetlanahi, we come to you in prayer today. We thank you for this day. Thank you for all of our blessings. Pray that you please be with those who are ill today, who are facing adversity. Just give them the strength that they need to carry on and to face their troubles, Creator. We thank you for the change of seasons. We thank you for the rain. We thank you for all of the renewal that is going on throughout the Cherokee Nation. Pray that you please just be with all of us as tribal members and community members. Just guide our words and actions that they're used in the service of our people to help lift one another up, Creator. We thank you for this day, and we thank you for everything we have. Moro. Amen. So once again, I just want to say welcome to everybody. I appreciate all of you guys joining us today. Donnie is not going to be with us today, but we definitely appreciate everything that she contributes. So I really love working with Donnie. She's a great team member. So, I'm just really thankful that you guys are all able to join us today. I think this is a really great topic to talk about. And it's one that I'm very passionate about. So just to introduce myself for all of you guys who don't know me, my name is Abraham Bearpaw. I am the Special Projects Officer for Cherokee Nation Community and Cultural Outreach. And I've been here since about November of this year. Before that, I worked for the Torres Martinez Desert Kuya Indians in Southern California. They're great people down there, and they were very hospitable to myself and my family. So very thankful for them. But I'm back here in the Cherokee Nation, and I love being back home. I love the change of seasons. Of course, I lived out in the desert before, and you pretty much just have warm and then really hot. That's pretty much, but it's still beautiful out there. And I was very thankful for my time out there, but definitely happy to be back home in the Cherokee Nation. And, so when we talk about these things, keeping Cherokee traditions alive, we talk about our culture and how to hold on to our culture. I know how hard it is to do that when you live at large, when you live in the at-large community and you do not live on the reservation. So that's kind of where, my perspective comes from also. I am very thankful for, to be here, in the capital of our Cherokee Nation and to be able to take advantage of all the cultural resources that we have here. But what I want to do is to be able to help all of our Cherokee communities across the entire country to be able to continue to build their organizations and their communities so that they feel like they have a traditional Cherokee community no matter where they live. And I believe that's possible. Growing up, one of the best memories I have in my life, I was about 11 years old, and my uncle, Charlie Soap, we were talking about traditional Cherokees, and he was a fluent Cherokee speaker, and he taught a lot of classes and helped a lot of people. But he turned to me and told me, he said, "Well, you're a traditional Cherokee." And it really caught me off guard. Like I said, I was about 11 years old, and I didn't consider myself a traditional Cherokee. I didn't wear a turban. I didn't speak fluent Cherokee. Of course, I did go to the stomp ground, participate in stomp dance, stickball, all of those things. But that really, it really helped me. And I still, like I said, I still remember, I have that memory to this day. And it's a really treasured memory. And that's what I want for all of our youth and all of our tribal members, no matter where they live in the country, to be able to feel like they are a traditional Cherokee and they can live a traditional Cherokee lifestyle, whether they live in the city or no matter what. Because through our organizations, our at-large organizations throughout the country, I want to continue to build these programs and, build our language programs and, share our culture and our values so that each of us, can raise our kids in a traditional Cherokee way, and they can grow up and say with confidence that they are a traditional Cherokee. So that's, kind of the background behind this presentation today. So, once again, I appreciate everybody who is able to spend time with us today. So our traditions represent a critical piece of our culture. Cherokee traditions involve the values, beliefs, and spirit of our communities. They are the intentions and sum of our activities as we strive to be at one with our spirit. Our traditions are not just what we do, but also the why. We continue to practice our traditions because they enable us to live a life of balance and wellness. So, I think a lot of times we think of our Cherokee traditions as basket making, blowguns, some of these arts and crafts, activities, and they are, but they're not really, the reason behind them, our values behind them are our actual traditions. These things are the activities that we do, to make sure that we continue to pass along our values and pass along our customs. But we must understand why we do those things also. I believe that's important. To be a traditional Cherokee, it is not enough to know what we do, but we must know the reasons behind these activities and live these values every day. Thankfully, we have a wealth of knowledge in our elders, Cherokee National Treasures, and language preservation specialists who are more than happy to teach classes for your Cherokee communities. So, once, I was able to get my second vaccine, I, feel more confident moving about in the community now, and I'm not, gathering in large groups or doing any of that yet, but I can see that we are heading that way. So I would like for us to start planning for the future to get more classes and more opportunities for our youth, to learn their Cherokee language and their Cherokee culture. But of course, it's actually easier now because of the pandemic to learn these things, because we can do it virtually. You can have an elder in Kenwood, Oklahoma, teach a class for the Puget Sound Cherokees and then teach another one in another state the next hour. So it's just really awesome. And, so that's what I really want to encourage, for our communities to make sure that we are utilizing our Cherokee National Treasures, our language specialists, and our elders, who just hold, a vast amount of knowledge, it's important to continue to pass down that knowledge. And, we have to set aside the time for us to learn, and then we can teach our children. So here are our Cherokee traditions. Like I said, a lot of times I think people think of, a tear dress, maybe a copper gorget, these things like this are what our traditions are. And they are a part of it, but they're not the reason, they're not what make us Cherokee. These are the things that what make us Cherokee: gratitude, ceremony, forgiveness, balance, sacrifice, perseverance, service, teaching. And this isn't an exhaustive list. There are many more traditions that we have and values that we have. But I thought it was important to highlight these because the activities that we think of that go with Cherokee culture, stickball, stomp dance, everything, our ceremonies and such, they are, the mechanisms, for us to practice these traditions. So these are the reasons behind, what we are doing. And when I say, if you are a traditional Cherokee or not, I was actually going to do a poll. I forgot to do a poll. I wanted to poll everybody and see how many of us consider yourself a traditional Cherokee. And I think it's important for us to make that distinction because, I think a lot of times we're made to feel less than. If you have light skin, if you are not a fluent language speaker, if you do not belong to a stomp ground, if you do not live on reservation. And these are just artificial things that we're putting on ourselves. And I think they're unnecessary, so I want to start to move away from, those kind of distinctions as a way of describing ourselves or, how we see ourselves. Because, I really feel like, it lowers our self-worth, and really hurts, ourselves and our children, and because the fact of the matter is, if you are practicing these things, these are the things that the Creator gave to us. These are the things that our ancestors continue to pass down to us so we can pass down to our children. Yes, we sing our songs, we practice our ways, but we practice those things in order to perpetuate these values and these traditions. So if you are practicing these on a daily basis, then I consider you a traditional Cherokee. And, I've been able to say with confidence now that I'm a traditional Cherokee. I am not fluent in the language, though I continue to learn. I perpetuate our culture. I practice these things. I have a program that I work, of balance. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I don't do any of these things, perfectly. But, I think the point is that our effort is there, our intentions are there, and, we continue to perpetuate these values in our community. And that's what makes us traditional Cherokee. So how do our traditions shape our community? To be a part of a Cherokee community means that we belong to something larger than ourselves. Our shared values and traditions form the foundation on which to build a platform for our culture to thrive. So whether you are in California, Arizona, or, Kenwood, or, here locally, you are in a Cherokee community. Or if not, reach out to me and I can help you find your local Cherokee community and help you find these local Cherokee organizations that are continuing to work to perpetuate our culture. So the awesome thing is that we do have our communities throughout the country. But I would, and what I want you to do is continue to build upon the work that you've already done so that we, can say with confidence, I live in a traditional Cherokee community. I live in Sacramento, California, and I belong to a traditional Cherokee community. And I'm going to show you some of the ways we can continue to perpetuate our culture so that we do feel like we are living traditionally, no matter where we may be in the country. The Cherokee traditions that have been passed down from our ancestors are what make us Cherokee. Our traditions help us to live in balance. So, now we have a lot of, medical terms for things that Cherokees have been doing, since the beginning of time. Words like wellness, balance, therapy, all of these things were, woven into the fabric of our everyday life. No matter what we did it with gratitude. We started our day with gratitude. Our ceremonies involved forgiveness. And so, these things were just, you didn't go to see the therapist or you didn't work on yourself every once in a while. You strove every day. We strive to be in balance, and we can continue to live that way, even today. And, that's when, I hear a lot, people saying, well, Native culture is dead or Native culture is dying, or, I don't feel that way. I feel like we still live by these values. I feel like our tribal administration still places an emphasis on having resources for our language. So I feel like we are stronger than ever, and we are going to continue to get stronger because of our commitment to each other and commitment to work on these things. So like I said, if you are still learning about Cherokee culture or just beginning to learn, this does not make you less Cherokee. However, it is your commitment toward the perpetuation of our culture and language that makes you a traditional Cherokee. So I want to stop using, blood quantum. I see people say they're full blood, and, that's great and everything, but I don't think that's what makes you more Cherokee than somebody else. I've seen people with blonde hair, blue eyes, and who can lead stomp dance all night long. And I've seen people with blonde hair, blue eyes who can speak fluent Cherokee, who live a Cherokee lifestyle, who are traditional Cherokee. So I would like for us to move away from these kind of things, because I feel like they're hurting us. They're hurtful for us. They're hurtful for our tribe, and they're hurtful for our youth. I see a lot of our youth who are hurting on reservation and off reservation. And so, I want them to learn things to be able to build their confidence, learn how to introduce themselves in Cherokee, learn the Cherokee games, learn Cherokee art, learn these Cherokee values so that, when they do go and, to Unity Conference or, they're around other Native youth, they can say with confidence that I am a traditional Cherokee. And, who cares what other people think? That doesn't really matter. It believes how we view ourselves and how we treat each other. So what does it mean to be a part of a Cherokee community? It is hard to feel connected to Cherokee culture at times in today's society, especially for at-large citizens. However, if we continue to build upon the work that you have already done and commit to each other, then it is possible to live a traditional Cherokee lifestyle, no matter where you are. And I really feel that. And that's, some of the things we're going to talk about today is how to continue to build that and make that happen. This does take commitment and work, however. I was taught that if you want to be a part of a stomp ground or Cherokee community, then you have to be all in. It is an important commitment, and it is how we honor our spirit, our ancestors, and the Creator. So, a lot of times we, go to the stomp ground on Sundays, go and play ball every Sunday. We stomp dance once a month. And, my uncle, Jim Mankiller, he always said that is what is the most important thing in your life. You need to honor that commitment that you make, because it's an honor, it's a commitment to the Creator, and it's a commitment to each other. So, you don't say, hey, maybe the Inland Empire Cherokees, we're having our monthly meeting. We're going to talk about planting. You don't say, oh, hey, I was going to go shopping that day. Or, oh, hey, I wanted to catch the ball game. It is, it has to be a commitment that we're willing to put, and I'm not being judgmental. I've missed out on a lot of things. I, would go to birthday parties and stuff instead of going to the stomp ground. And these are things that my uncle is talking about. If we want to do this, if we want to build our strong Cherokee communities, we need to make that commitment to each other. So what traditional Cherokee activities perpetuate our culture? There is ceremony, fellowship, language, games, art, karugi, hunting, and gathering. So once again, this is not an exhaustive list. These are just, it would take hours and hours and hours for us to talk about everything. But I feel like these are kind of the cornerstone of our traditions. And, really these activities help perpetuate our culture and our values. So when we talk about gratitude, we talk about forgiveness, these are the avenues which we learn those things. So first, we'll talk about ceremony. Our spiritual practices and ceremonies help us show gratitude and honor the Creator for everything we have. This may involve medicine, prayer, song, and dance. And, like I said, for me, it's going to the stomp ground. But just because, I lived in Southern California, I lived in Oregon, I've lived in Washington, I've lived all over the country. And when I was away from the stomp ground, pursuing my education or doing these other things, I didn't quit being a ceremonial Cherokee. I didn't just stop praying. So, I believe that we can honor the Creator, and honor each other and live at one with our spirit, no matter where we are. And I think that's a really important distinction, because I know that a lot of our at-large Cherokees really yearn to get back here to stomp dance. And I'm excited for those days to happen. If you guys do want to do that, I can facilitate that. And I can teach you protocols so that you're not just, so that you can learn a lot about it before you do come and participate in the dance. But you can still be a traditional Cherokee if you do not go to the stomp ground every week. This does not make you less than, and it doesn't mean that, that spiritual connection still can't be felt. If you are not close to where ceremonies are held, it is still possible to keep this tradition alive through prayer, meditation, and mindfulness. Showing gratitude and practicing forgiveness, for example, is a part of ceremony and can be done anywhere. So, one of the biggest things that, I learned at the stomp ground early on was forgiveness and gratitude. Those were probably the two biggest things that I learned in my very early years when I went to the stomp ground. And I learned those because, my uncle, Jim Mankiller, took me aside one day and he talked to me about what the stomp ground was about, what it meant to be Cherokee. And he told me to leave my negativity outside beyond the post. Our stomp ground in Rocky Mountain, Flint Rock Stomp Ground, they call it Wolf Stomp Ground also. Jim Wolf was the chief for many years. And so he would say, leave your negativity outside beyond the post, because there are two posts that mark the entrance. And I really just kind of focused on leaving everything there. For me as a young man, what I left there at those posts were fear, judgment, insecurity, jealousy, all of these unnecessary things that we carry around in our daily life. I left them there. And I remember just being at the stomp ground and how free I felt and how close I felt to my fellow tribal members and how close I felt to the fire and how close I felt to the Creator and how close I really felt at one with my own spirit. And, like I said, now you have to pay maybe $200 an hour to go to therapy, where they can give you some pills for your anxiety, and that is an acceptable way of living. Instead, we can live our traditional Cherokee lifestyle, where we leave that negativity outside. We practice forgiveness on a daily basis. We practice gratitude. I believe we can continue to live that traditional Cherokee lifestyle, even though we are in modern society. However, I do recognize it's challenging. And I know that, for many years, I was a workaholic. I had the great fortune to get sober about a little over 8 years ago. And so, I am a recovering alcoholic. And then, once I got sober, I really threw myself into my work. But that still got me out of balance because I would just work. I ignored my physical health. I didn't eat right. I, wasn't practicing our language. I wasn't participating as much in our culture. And so I do know, the trials and tribulations of what Western society and what American society can make us feel like we should be doing. But, I just want to, encourage you to give yourself permission to take the time necessary, to practice self-care. That's your Cherokee tradition, and make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. So, we can leave our negativity. We don't have to pick that up every day. And it's going to come. You get frustrated sometimes automatically. The coffee maker won't work, or you're stuck in traffic, or, you show up late and your kid forgot their homework. It happens, but if we take those times throughout the day to, meditate, focus on gratitude. I walk outside. I go outside, I'll walk and just practice mindfulness, just be in nature, and really feel that connection with the environment, the Creator. And so, I just wanted to impress upon you that it is possible to continue to live this way, even in today's society. Going to water is another example of keeping our Cherokee traditions alive. As we wash off in the water, we let go of our resentments, jealousy, and fear. And I'd like to see, our tribal members do these things on a regular basis. Donnie talked about even doing it in the shower. And that's where I start my day. My mindfulness is I start it in the shower and I list what I'm grateful for that day. And it's really gotten me through some hard times, especially recently, with the pandemic. It really, kind of brought some of my anxiety back. And, I ended up having surgery. I'm not sure if many of you know, I had a lot of complications. I thought for a while there that I was going to pass away. And, I really had to prepare myself, mentally, for that. And so, but, during all of these things going on with my health, what really got me through it was my gratitude every day. And, whether I was in such pain or, I was so dizzy, I couldn't get out of bed, I would still focus on the good things that I have in my life and focus on what I'm grateful for. And I credit that way of thinking with helping me, pull through and to get better. And so I'm just really proud of that. I'm proud of our Cherokee culture that it teaches us that we have those things, because even, the doctor told me, your outlook, on life is 50% of it. People who believe that they are going to get better, people who believe in the power of prayer and it really does help. So, I believe that we can live in ceremony no matter where we are. We can continue to do these things. And even though you can't be at Stomp Dance, I would be in another state, but I knew they were dancing somewhere. It's Saturday night, at about 11 o'clock. I knew they'd start calling leaders out soon. So I'd get on YouTube and I'd put on some Stomp Dance songs, you know what I mean? And I would just listen to some Stomp Dance songs. I'd maybe sing one myself, but I just, practice that mindfulness, to where I'm just really grateful for everything that I have. I'm grateful that there are people dancing somewhere because I know they're praying for me. I know that they're praying for all of us, praying for our people to help one another. So, fellowship. I was taught that it makes Unetlanai happy when Cherokee people come together to play ball, eat together, and laugh together. This fellowship is good medicine and is powerful enough to overcome any challenge that presents itself. So, the way that I was taught and the way I was raised in the stomp ground was that eating together, laughing together, playing ball together, and fellowship was just as important part of our ceremony as the actual songs and dances. And so we can do those anywhere. So, we can practice that part of the ceremony no matter where we are. And so those are one of the things I want to continue to build in this next year or two in our Cherokee communities to make sure that we continue to strengthen those bonds. We must approach each day with gratitude and show others that you are grateful for them. At the end of the day, people won't remember what you said or did. They will remember how you made them feel. And that's, of course, by Maya Angelou. But I just really love that quote. A friend of mine, Cynthia Ruiz, she actually has said that a couple times, and it's really resonated with me because I do remember, like I said, I don't remember everything I was told, but I do remember the way, my elders made me feel. And, like I said, that's, one of those days whenever somebody described me as a traditional Cherokee when I was about 11 or 12, I still carry that to this day. So. Due to historical trauma and other hardships, it is important to remember that we are all healing from something, and we should treat each other with care, even during the political season. But I guess I should have said, especially during the political season. I know many of you know my aunt, Wilma Mankiller, was the chief of our tribe, and I saw her get death threats. People would spray paint outside our house. Just all kinds of stuff she had to face because she was involved in politics. And I would like for us as a people, as a tribe, to remember that we are all Cherokee, during these tribes, to not tear each other apart. And, I have to own my part of that also. I have been negative in the past. And what I found was, I'll tell a quick story. I went to a training. I tell this story a lot, but I went to a training maybe 7 or 8 years ago down in Verona, actually Rincon, California, on their reservation. And one of the trainers, it was an all native training, but one of the trainers, he was a Caucasian guy. And he said, natives are like crabs in the bucket. He said, every time one of you tries to step up, another native will always grab him and pull him down. And I tell that story a lot because of how mad I got, how angry that made me at the time. I was like, who is this guy, to come into a room full of natives and tell us how we are. And his dad had actually negotiated, the settlement between AIM and the federal government at Wounded Knee. So he had been around natives a lot, but it just made me mad that he described us that way. But instead of being mad, what I really had to do was take a look inward, take a look at myself. And I was contributing in a negative way, to our discourse. I would complain a lot. I would, be jealous of people. I would, gossip. And so I had to look at myself and just say, you know what? If I don't want people to describe us that way, it has to start with me. I have to start with changing how I interact with people and, really look at the values, the traditional Cherokee values, and how I want to uphold them. So now I don't get on Facebook. I don't comment on people's stuff at all. But if you do comment, if you have something to say, try to be constructive with your criticism. I now try to be constructive with my criticism. I want to be a part of the solution and not another crab in the bucket. So if you do have a comment for a councilman or, somebody like that, have a solution. Just say, hey, how about we try it this way? I really believe we can get a lot more done if we just change a couple words in our vocabulary and change the way that we approach people. That's a goal of mine, for this year. It's something I continue to preach, and it's because I've had to do it in my own life, and it's really helped me. I really feel like, at one time, I did not feel like I was a part of my tribe. I didn't feel like, there was a place for me and these things. And what it really came down to, it was self-pity. I was feeling sorry for myself. And so, and that's not a traditional Cherokee value. So I had to look at that. I had to work on that, and like I said, I went away and I worked for other tribes, and I did some really good work for them. But my spirit called me home. It called me home because I want to work with our Cherokee youth, our Cherokee families. I have a program I teach called Walking in Balance, and also a leadership program that I teach for youth. And it's important to me because I was one of those youth at one time, and I needed people to guide me. And I did. I was very lucky that I had elders who helped me out during those times. So, I believe it's important for me to continue that tradition and pass that on. But anyway, I've had to go through all of this. And so, I would just say, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I would encourage you that if you guys do have criticism, have a solution, or, make sure you frame it in a way that people can hear it. That's what I would love to see on Facebook. I really love when Cherokees lift other Cherokees up, or Cherokees, maybe question somebody's policy, but say, hey, have you thought about trying it like this? Or could we do this? And then we can have a conversation, instead of just a lot of finger pointing and everything like that, because, especially with, political season coming up, it's really good because we get a lot of discourse, we get a lot of hog fries, going to get some good food, but at the same time, that negativity, I don't feel like it's Cherokee way. So if you can, I would really appreciate if you guys join me in that commitment to just change our discourse a little bit and lift one another up. Cherokee language. We are blessed to have more resources to learn our language, and we should take advantage of the classes offered. Definitely. We are so blessed. Unfortunately, I have lived on other reservations in Oregon, Washington, in California, and a lot of them do not have the resources that we have. And so, the last tribe I worked for, they have, I think, 4 members who continue to speak the language. And they didn't have any resources to have an immersion school or anything like that. So I really am very happy that we have the resources that we do have, and they're going to continue to grow. So, make time to learn, our language, even if it is a little at a time, and commit to using it every day, even if it's just one word. Sio, Donhiju, or anything like that. I believe that it just continues to help, and I believe that, the ancestors hear you, the creator hears you, they hear you trying, even if you're not getting it right. I believe if we just continue to use it, that eventually, our kids, we will have a community where our kids can grow up, in our language and be able to speak it more. So some Cherokee communities have organized Cherokee classes. And if you need help finding a Cherokee instructor for your class, email me and I can help you get a class organized. The folks who work in the language department, of course, I can't speak to them. I don't work in the language department, but I know that they are very willing to help you get your classes organized. Of course, they have the Cherokee Language Immersion Program where you can, come here and learn the language for 2 years. And then, then you can turn around and teach Cherokee yourself. My sister, Rachel Pritchett, actually, Rachel Bearpaw, formerly, she just joined that program. And I'm really proud of her. I think our ancestors would be proud of her to get in there and, to struggle and, to overcome it, to work through all of those hardships. But, eventually on the other side, then she's going to be able to teach the rest of us. So I just think that's really awesome. And during this process, be patient with yourself, and be patient with others as we continue to reclaim our language and our culture. Like I said, if you are not a fluent language speaker, that does not make you less Cherokee. And it does not mean that you cannot be a traditional Cherokee. So, make sure that we do our practice that patience with ourselves. Our games, it makes Unetlana happy to see us play together and laugh together. I really believe that stickball, chunky, marbles, and other games are an important part of traditional Cherokee life. It is my goal to have a permanent stickball pole put up in every district on reservation and in every state where there are enough Cherokees to play. However, until then, we can help you get a portable pole, sticks, and equipment to play these games, as well as instructors to show you how to play. We did that a couple times. I actually had a stickball class in Southern California. And then we had an event where a lot of people came. We were on the Saboba Reservation. A lot of people came and played stickball, and we made baskets and made pottery, and it was just a really awesome time. But, these games teach important Cherokee values for us and our children. So we do have these resources. Like I said, even if you're on reservation and, you want to get a stickball game together, for your community, reach out to me, email me. I'm more than happy to help you get the equipment, get these sticks made, get these poles made. And eventually, I guarantee we are going to have a permanent stickball pole put up in every community so that we can continue to practice, this traditional Cherokee game. And, like I said, these are the avenues that we perpetuate our values. And those values are our true traditions. By playing stickball, you learn so much. You learn about gratitude, you learn about forgiveness. You work on your physical wellness. There's a lot of things. It's not just, of course, the laughing and the having fun, but there are a lot of important values and stories that go along with these games, that need to continue to be passed down. And so, years before you sat on the side and watched the stickball game, I encourage you to get out there. I'm getting older myself, you know what I mean? And, the good thing is, if you're an elder, they're not supposed to hit you. They're not supposed to tackle you as hard. So, maybe now that I got some gray hair, they'll take it easy on me. My girlfriend, actually, she just brought this up because I told her, if we have the man-on-man stickball game for Turkey holiday this year, I'm going to play. And she said, "You're too old to play." And I could not believe she just told me that. The last time, granted, I played 2 years ago. I ended up with bruised ribs. I thought I broke my ribs, and I ended up with a black eye. But it was really fun. I had a great time. And yes, I am getting up in the years now just a little bit, but I do believe I still got some good years in me. But I couldn't believe that she said that. So, but it was funny. We laughed about it. But yeah, eventually, the day will come where I stop playing man-on-man stickball and leave that for our young men and young women. But our social games, definitely, I will play our social game forever. And our social games, they get a little rough when we do play at the stomp ground, but, they're not inherently violent. That's not what we're trying to do out there. Unless you do have maybe some siblings out there, then they may try and tackle you. I think Kevin Stretch, he also told me a story yesterday about getting his shirt ripped off one time playing in Kansas City or something. But, but these things do happen. But, it's just all about fun. It's all about all the fellowship together. And, it does make the Creator happy to see us all out there playing together. Our art, just like when we prepare food or braid our hair, when we make a craft such as baskets, we weave our good energy and medicine into what we are doing. Taking the time to learn how to make traditional Cherokee crafts help us to practice gratitude and mindfulness. I love making baskets. I love I love just, the mindfulness. I really almost don't think at all when I'm sitting and I'm making a basket, and I just have that good energy. I really feel connected to our ancestors, when I'm sitting and I'm making a basket for somebody. And, you have to refocus your energy. Say I'm having a bad day or I got some bad energy. I have to refocus that energy because I want to weave good energy into that basket. So it really does help you to refocus. And, you may see it as, oh, I'm just making a basket, but it's the reason behind why we do those things and why we, the values that we have and what we're trying to pass along. It's not just about the art, of course, but, and, it is fun. And so I think it's important for us to teach these things to our youth and, of course, teach the stories, that go along with the art. Storytelling is an important Cherokee tradition. My mother would always tell us stories when the power went out, and I still remember those stories to this day. We have amazing storytellers in our tribe, and everyone should take the time to learn some of the stories to tell their loved ones. I would encourage every parent to learn at least a couple stories to tell their children. Even if your children are grown, you can tell them to your grandchildren also. But, one of the things about art and one of the things about all of these things, it actually wasn't a native guy who said it, but, you still need to practice these things, even if you're not good at them. Like, I am not a good artist. I am horrible at it, but I still continue to do it. Why? Because I like it. It makes me feel good. I like to be connected to my culture. I like to do these things. So, I just want to encourage you guys. You do not need to be good at something to practice it. These activities are therapeutic. So don't worry if you're not good at them. What your children are going to remember is your effort. So don't ever let that stop you, whether it's learning our language, or maybe you want to learn some stomp dance songs, or, whatever it is you want to learn. Don't let the fact that you're not good at it, deter you from any of that. So anyway, looking at the chat a little bit. I will answer, if you guys have questions in the Q&A and questions in the chat, I will make sure to make time at the end for that. So, Gadugi. The value of Gadugi has helped us sustain our communities in the face of extreme adversity time and again. As we continue to uphold this Cherokee tradition, let us not forget that our elders, Cherokee National Treasures, and language preservation specialists are an invaluable resource. Make sure to reach out and ask these tradition keepers to aid us in our education. Unfortunately, we have lost some elders, during this time. And, it's just really, really sad for the families, and, it's also sad, because that's less time that we got to spend with that elder, for them to pass along their stories and their knowledge and their life experience and all of these things. So, in this next year, I would like for each of our communities, whether you're on reservation or off reservation, reach out to me. If you need instructors, no matter what it's for, we have instructors for that. And our Cherokee National Treasures and our elders are more than happy to teach classes for you. So, like I said, we are really blessed that we have these tradition keepers, as part of our tribe. So, time, is finite. We don't have all the time in the world, unfortunately. So, we need to quit saying tomorrow I'll do it and start making it about today. So let's start, scheduling more of these, language specialists and tradition keepers to teach our classes. Like I said, virtually now, we have no excuse not to schedule a virtual class and have somebody teach us about basket making or, storytelling or language or any of these things. So if you need help, you don't know who to call, you can email me. I will leave my email in the Q&A or in the chat, actually, before we leave. So, that's one of the things I would like for each of us to focus on also in this next year is just making sure we are tapping into that really awesome resource of our traditional Cherokee knowledge. My mother did not speak fluent Cherokee, so she would drop me off at an elder's house on occasion to learn from him, as well as my uncles and other elders in the area. I remember, one of them, his name was Sam Nofire. He didn't speak much English, and there was actually no English spoken in the house. And I think I was maybe 7 or 8, and she would just drop me off. And for hours, I would be there. And I would cook with him and I would learn from him. And I would learn, some of the things that he was doing. And I still remember those things to this day. And so, a lot of other people also, and, she, like I said, didn't speak fluent Cherokee, but it didn't keep her from making sure that our culture was being passed on. So that just reminds me, that our elders have so much knowledge to pass on. So if you do give a chance, if you are around an elder in your area, take them a gift and let them know that they're valued. Sit and talk with them every chance they get. Growing up, I remember, how we would visit ourselves. And that's actually a Cherokee tradition. We visit, and we sit down, and they would always turn the TV off and, drink coffee and talk. And I remember as a young man sitting and listening to my uncles and, talk with other community members for hours. And it was just really awesome to be in the presence of that knowledge, and to hear people talk about, culture, politics, language, all of these things. And so if you do have elders in your area, like I said, give them a gift, or you can do that even virtually now. Invite an elder. It doesn't even have to be about a class, and invite an elder on, let them know that they're valued and, let them know that we're thinking about them, especially in our elders who may be in nursing homes. I'd like for us to organize, ways to get them gifts and, to get on virtually with them maybe. And, even if, not just for our own purposes, not just to learn something, but to give, give them that time and give them that appreciation, and let them know that they're valued. So hunting and gathering, of course, we protect our physical health by continuing to harvest our traditional foods. I have made a commitment to eat a healthier diet, and I plan on growing small crops with seeds from our seed bank and others. So this tradition can be done, no matter where you live, and it's a great way to teach our youth about service for others. I would encourage each of our Cherokee communities on reservation and off reservation, to start a garden, even if it's a little one, just start with some tomato plants or whatever it is. And, so that we can teach our youth, the importance of growing our own food, the importance of staying away from sugar and, grease and, all of these things. I've actually made a commitment to myself to no longer make fry bread or eat fry bread, even though I love fry bread. But what I love more is to see our community members healthy, especially, where we live, here in this area of Oklahoma. We do have high rates of diabetes and high rates of, heart disease and these things. So, it's a commitment. You have to make the choice and be willing to change some of these things, I think it's really important, though, and I think it will pay off in the long run. Of course, we're going to feel better, but also we're going to teach our youth that traditional Cherokees, we didn't eat all of that stuff, and to eat things that are organic and naturally grown. Then they don't have, of course, we're not going to eat an exact Cherokee diet, but, to just make sure we're eating fresh fruits and fresh vegetables and, staying away from the fast food and all of that stuff. So like I said, I'm not perfect. I just had a Sonic cheeseburger the other day, but I'm definitely that's a rare occasion now for me. I don't drink soda anymore. That was, for if you live in Oklahoma, pop, that was huge for me. I used to drink pop like crazy. Dr. Pepper was my favorite. But, I want to be around for, my children. I want to be around for my grandchildren. I want to be healthy enough to teach classes. I want to be healthy enough to get out there with the young men and bang around and play man-on-man stickball. So, we can't do these things if we have these health issues that, can go along with unhealthy eating. So finally, the conclusion. I know you guys have heard me talk a lot. Sorry to be so long-winded, but I appreciate you sticking with me, during this time. And, so in conclusion, I was always taught that playing stickball, eating together, and laughing together and fellowship was just as an important part of ceremony as our songs and dances. That is why I'm proposing to have stickball poles put up in every community and state where Cherokees gather in large numbers, so we can play ball, eat together, laugh together, fellowship together, and teach each other. These activities are ceremony also. We will learn our language together, make baskets together, cultivate food together, teach our youth how to shoot bows and blowguns, and speak the language. Through these traditions, Cherokees have been able to live a life of balance and wellness in the face of extreme adversity. I believe, because when you go to the stomp ground, this is what you do. We take medicine, we play stickball, we pray, we eat, and, we laugh together. And that's the whole day. We do that all day long until it's time to dance. We show gratitude. One of the earliest ways I remember, you always spit out your first bite. We always eat outside, of course, at the stomp ground, but we spit our first bite out to give back to the earth and to show the Creator, that we're thankful for everything that we have and that we're willing to give back. And I think you see that in our new, the Gen Z generation who are fighting for the environment and who are just fired up about, changing the way we do things back to the old way, where we did have more care for our water to make sure it's clean to drink, to make sure our air is clean to breathe, and that we are passing along a suitable environment for, for our children and grandchildren. So, I really commend, our younger generations. I see, the strength of our ancestors in them. And, I'm just really proud. So, we have to help them, though. We have to aid them. And one of the ways we can do that is by building these strong Cherokee communities where we are reinforcing these Cherokee values so that they can say with confidence, that they are a traditional Cherokee and they don't have to feel ashamed. I don't believe it, in that anymore. I don't think it's helpful. That still comes from our historical trauma, comes from the boarding school area. I myself stayed in a boarding school for a while. I stayed out in Oaks, and it was a hard time for me. I still, I faced indoor trauma there, and so I want to make sure our communities are, we are able to heal each other in these ways by practicing these traditional Cherokee ways. Our perseverance and commitment to service will ensure that we build and maintain our Cherokee community so that our children will grow up and say with confidence they're traditional Cherokee. Our department stands ready to practice the value of Gadoogie and help your community book instructors, research topics, and support you as we continue to build traditional Cherokee communities. So I would like to say, Wado, I appreciate it. I thank you guys, for your time. And, I hope that I've, given you some things to think about and helped you, in this next year, to, get rid of this stigma that anybody is less than, that any Cherokees are less than, or that some of us are better than the others, or, that we need to feel ashamed or anything like that. It's not helpful. And so that's something that I want to, make sure that we're leaving in the past. So, I'm reading your comments and, I'm very thankful that you guys, really good comments on here. Yes, crabs in the bucket, that saying is definitely applied, not just to natives, but to others as well. And, it's not, a traditional Cherokee value to think like that. That's not, a traditional way of thinking. We are all about community. We are all about, that, our group is bigger than one individual. So, I definitely want to get away with that kind of thinking. So, all right. So if you guys, a lot of people on here are commenting, I really appreciate it. Mariah says she's a millennial and went to Haskell and got her BS in environmental science to help give back to Mother Earth. See, this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Congratulations to you, and thank you for going out and sacrificing your time, so that you can, for the betterment of our people. I spoke yesterday. I teach a leadership class on Wednesday nights, the Gen Z leadership class. We have about 700, youth and adults participating in that. And, a lot of people have emailed me after saying that it is helpful to have that class because they are struggling, with confidence, with patience, with time management, with believing in themselves. And, so that need is out there. Our youth are hurting. And so, I encourage us also, each of our adults to take on a mentor. I know a lot of you mentor, of course, your children and nieces and nephews, but that's another really great way for us to, to help, our younger people, and not just younger people. I'm still going to school myself, but those of us pursuing, higher education or pursuing a trade or trying to learn our language, make sure that we're reaching out to them and giving them the support that they need, because it is a hard endeavor, and a lot of people were questioning whether it's even possible to continue to live a traditional Cherokee lifestyle and, in the Western world. And I definitely do believe it is possible. And so that's something that I'm going to encourage and make sure. So we have a question: is there a location for all of this educational information or contact information? So we do have a lot of resources, but most of our resources, I would really push or encourage is our wisdom keepers, our elders, our Cherokee National Treasures. I am a big fan. Everything I've learned, I didn't learn from a book. I learned because somebody took the time to teach me. And so I'm going to put my email. So what I would, really impress upon you is that, we reach out instead of, a book, but there are a lot of really good ones. I think I shared like 50 or so books in my last presentation. That's on YouTube. If you want to look, and you can catch those resources on there. But, really reach out to, our kind of, living encyclopedias who are our elders, and book them for a class. And, we can, like I said, our department can help facilitate that. I'm more than happy to do that. So I put my email in the chat. So if you guys have any more questions, this recording is going to be posted on YouTube. So if you guys, want to share it later or anything like that. So, so Mariah has a question. She signed up for Ed Field's upcoming language class. That is awesome. Congratulations. And she wants to get into ceremonies more, but she's not sure where to start or how to go about it. So, we do, have classes on that. We don't teach, of course, all the medicine and everything. A lot of things are reserved, just to be, just for the stomp ground and these things. But we can talk about protocol. We can talk about what the songs are about and everything like that. And I can get you prepared, for when you do want to come, you want to visit the stomp ground. That's something I would encourage all of our at-large members to do. And I can help you with that. And there are stomp grounds, that are more than willing, to have you come and participate. I remember whenever I was young, there was a bus full of Caucasian people that got lost on their way somewhere, and they drove in through the woods. And I don't know where the heck they came from, but they were trying to get to Missouri or something. And, the first thing when they got off the bus, our chief and, our elders in our stomp ground offered them something to eat, something to drink. They weren't even Cherokee. And that's just the way stomp grounds are. That's how our people are. No matter who comes in, they would always just offer them something to eat and drink and, and welcome them. So, don't be afraid. If that's something you guys do want to pursue in the future, I will definitely help you with that. I'll help you to learn protocol and, so you feel like you have some knowledge going in. And so you can feel more connected instead of having that, being nervous or having that fear. So, I encourage you guys all to take that healthy risk. So the YouTube link for this presentation, it's just Cherokee Nation Community and Cultural Outreach. We have a channel on there. And so all of our videos will be posted on there. This video is going to be titled Cherokee Traditions, Keeping Our Cherokee Traditions Alive. So, with that, I just would like to say Wado, and I appreciate your time, everyone.